Hey, welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. In this episode, we are going to be talking about ranking in DAX. I wanted to do this video for a while. Figured I'd put together a model and just go ahead and do it. And as you may or may not know, ranking in DAX is primarily accomplished via the mildly infuriating RANKX function. We'll put it that way. RANKX can be a bit of a pain in the butt once in a while. I'm just going to say that. Then I'll show you kind of some reasons as to why. But here we have, the RANKX documentation. It takes two required parameters, a table, and then some expression. And then there's three optional parameters: the value parameter, the order parameter, and then ties, how you want to treat ties. All right, so let's get into it. RANKX, in simple scenarios is pretty straightforward, right? So here I have my values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. And then, I can create a simple column, which just does a rank X, and I just use those two required parameters and just my table and my value, and it ranks them. As you can see, it ranks them in descending order. Okay, so now if we want to do it in ascending order, right, we have to do, there's our first value function, which, just to cover this real quickly, so really the RANKX function does not use your expression to rank things, believe it or not. It actually uses the value parameter, what is in the value parameter. So with the way RANKX actually functions, if you don't specify a value parameter, it copies the expression that you use and uses that for the value parameter to do the ranking. So technically, it's using the value parameter to do the ranking. It's just that when you leave it out, it goes and copies the expression over to the value parameter and uses it. All right, so then why is it the third function when nobody ever uses it? I'm not going to cover the use of the value function in this video because it's such a kind of it's very, very minor use cases that you'd ever want to use it. So everybody skips it pretty much. You almost never use the value parameter, which normally I would think I would usually put, if I was writing the DAX language, it would be the third optional parameter, because nobody, I would think, okay, let's put these in order of most used optional parameter to least used optional parameter, but not how they did it. So great. All right, so we have to skip that one, and then here you can see I can either use I can do ascending. So if I use ascending, then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 versus the reverse. Now, this is just for me. I don't like defaults when it comes to coding. I think, you should be when you code, you should make it explicitly clear what you're doing and not rely on defaults. So just how I was taught to code, don't rely on the default values, because, what happens if somewhere along the line, somebody changes the language and that's no longer the default? Could be a problem. So I always like to specify at least the first 4 parameters, leaving out the middle parameter, right? Just leaving that one blank, and using, specifying ASC or DSC. All right, so now let's talk about the fifth parameter, third optional parameter, which is how you treat skips, or how you treat ties, I should say. So here I have the same thing, and here this is the default way that ranking works when I don't specify that fifth parameter. So as you can see, I've got these two are both treated as 1, and then it goes 3, 3, and then 5, 5, and 7, 7, then 9, 9. This is kind of what drives people nuts sometimes about RANKX. All right, so if you don't know, this is using the skipping. So if I were to come in here and say we use descending and then skip, right? So again, always be explicit, in my opinion, when you're doing this. So if I use that, then you can see that it's using skipping. Okay, that's the default. So descending is the default for how it orders it, and then skip is the default for how these are displayed in terms of when it encounters non-unique values or duplicates. Okay, so the way that ranking works when you use dents is that instead of it skipping over, so this would be like, you think of this as 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 9, 10. So the way it works, if you don't do skipping and you use dents, it treats these both as 1. It doesn't skip 2. It goes, so it's at 2, 2, and then 3, 3, and then 4, 4, and then 5, 5. But you know, this is the complaint that you get around RANKX a lot of times, is that what people really want, even if there are ties or duplicates, they want a unique ranking for them. So how do you do that? So you might think that, oh, I'll just add a really small random number to each of the values and then rank that. Only that doesn't work. You get really weird results when you do it. So you do RANKX, my table, I'm going to take my value and then add rand times 0.00001, and rand returns a number between 0 and 1. So you would think that that would work, but no, you get weird results. 2, 2, 5, 3, 5, 6, 9, 8, 11. Not, I mean, the results make absolutely zero sense. But here's the crazy part, right? So if I create a new column, I say value plus that rand, so it's just taking this portion right here. I'm just creating a column with it. And now I take my RANKX of that column. Now I get unique values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why? God only knows. Why it works when you create a column versus, you just try to do it right within the RANKX function. Now there's another way to do it without creating a column. That you can actually create a new table using this code. This is the mythical DAX index, right? So I take my source table, right, and I do a count rows of it. I concatenate up my source table, my value expression, and I use a pipe character. I sort it using the value, and I'm sorting it descending, okay? And now what I can do with that concatenate, that turns it into a path, and that path is sorted according to my value column. So now what I can do is I can say, okay, I can add columns, and I do a select columns of generate series from 1 to count, and I'm going to call that my rank. And then my value, I just grab out the path item for what rank I'm on. So when it's on generate series is on 1, it's going to grab the first one, and that's the sorted, in this case, the sorted highest value, which is 50. And then it's going to so that gets a rank of 1. The next 50 gets 2, 3, 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the other way to do it. Now you might think, well, can I use this technique in a column? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. You can use the same code, as you can see here, and I was messing around with trying to figure out a way to do that with a column. I've come to the conclusion that you really can't, because you really have no way of knowing which 10 you're on. And I even thought about, well, could I, randomly assign it, and this 10 is or this 50 is 1 and this 50 is 2. I really couldn't figure out a way to do it, and I thought my answer was going to be index. I thought that's how I might be able to get there, and this is actually the impetus for the last video, the all weirdness, because this took me like 30 minutes of trying to figure out what this was doing, and until I remembered that all, when used as a column with a column, only returns the unique values. It doesn't return all of the values, even though the name of the function is all and not distinct. Still only returns the distinct values in that column when used as a column form, and that drove me nuts for like 30 minutes. And that's why I made my last video on it. So now, okay, last thing to cover with ranks in ranking in DAX is when used as a measure. So here I've got the same values from my table, and I've got this rank measure. So bizarrely, when used with a measure, you have to wrap it with an explicit calculate. So if you don't use calculate, so even though we're grabbing all of table, and I just, you'd think that, oh, I'll just use some of that, and then that's the equivalent of how I did it as a column, right? So nope, doesn't work. This is what drives people crazy, I think, the most with RANKX, is that, oh, well, that intuitively seems like that would work. But no, you have to wrap it in a calculate. I'm sure it has to do with row context and filter context, and and all of that sort of stuff, and adding in row context. So yeah, so there you go. That's the way you do it. Is you just wrap it in what is a seemingly superfluous calculate, and it works because calculate then imposes row context back on it. So, and I think this right here drives people bananas when they're using measures, RANKX in a measure, because it's not intuitively obvious that you would use a calculate statement in that circumstance, but you do. So that's all I had for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.